All right. Let's make sure we have everything set up. Today, patch 8.3 went live. So I thought we would cover a little bit of that because I need to read about it myself. Hang on a second. I apologize. My dog is trying to talk through the doorway. Let's see if I can pull this up. As you can see, I have pulled up World of Warcraft just posted their Visions of N'Zoth intro cinematic, and I thought we would start out by playing that. Lemon, please. Okay, maybe he'll behave for a moment. Let's see. I'm trying to see if the notifications went out. Looks like they did. Okay. Stormwind. Well, this is the cinematic, so I'm going to make sure that I have my volume up so that it can be heard.
You mean to tell me none of your spies have returned? N'Zoth is out there, and we need answers now!
We are doing all we can. Speaker Magni is coming, along with a new advisor. He claims to have information for us.
Oh, by the light, a new advisor.
Oh, yes.
Anduin, it's been so long.
Dragons. I suppose I deserve that.
Oh, you deserve more than that. My father is dead because of you, and my father is dead because of the old gods.
Lad, he's come to help us.
Uh-oh. Lemon, come here.
Nefarian the Earthwarder was once the protector of Azeroth. But N'Zoth turned a noble mind to madness, and now my father is only remembered as Deathwing. And as I haven't the least desire to share that fate, I've been studying how to avoid it. Just tell me how to prepare for this attack. Our armies will be useless. N'Zoth will strike here. He'll manipulate emotions, get people to act in ways contrary to their nature. You won't be able to trust your senses, your memories, your friends. After all, what is real if our perceptions cannot be trusted? Anduin! Don't you see, old friend? It's already begun. Very well, advisor. Tell us how to stop him.
All right. So for anybody who did not play during Cataclysm, that was the dragon in Cataclysm, what he was speaking about. And also, if you did not play in Mists of Pandaria, you did not experience the last encounter we had with Rathian. And in Mists of Pandaria, we all earned legendary cloaks, and we will be earning legendary cloaks again in BFA for this patch. Lemon, come here. Whatever is out there will be fine. Come here. Okay. So one of the things I thought we would do is go through the patch notes. If I can get Because, well, I guess he needs to have his presence known. So we have, hang on a sec. Okay, so we have corrupted zones, Oldham and Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Oldham is a Cataclysm area, and Vale of Eternal Blossoms is a Mists of Pandaria area. Yeah, Lemon was certainly making himself known. The old god N'Zoth has been freed from his Titan-wrought prison, unleashing destruction and terror across Azeroth. N'Zoth's forces are gathered to lay siege on the Titan facilities in Oldham and Vale of Eternal Blossoms. If these ancient defenses are ruined, N'Zoth will turn his nightmare visions into reality. So the Titan facilities that we used in Mists of Pandaria, which is Vale of Eternal Blossoms, we actually used them to upgrade gear. There's a new raid, Ny'alotha, the Waking City. Delve into where nightmares dwell in Ny'alotha, the Waking City, a 12-boss raid set in the void-shrouded heart of the ancient Black Empire. Hey, the Bryan clan, how are you? Well, unfortunately, this live is about the game that I play, World of Warcraft, but you are certainly welcome to be here. I had initially not planned on talking about this, but my throat is bothering me, and I'm afraid if I wait, I won't be able to go through this and read it. So I will be talking about what I intend to do tonight, probably tomorrow. Well, that's good. I'm glad you're doing well. Confront mad heralds and inscrutable horrors, and untimely go eye to eyes with N'Zoth himself in a fateful battle for Azeroth's survival. So I am looking forward to taking a look at that raid. There's a new affix, and for people who do not know what the affixes are, they are for Mythic Plus Dungeons. Season 4 has a new affix, Awakened. While the Awakened affix is active, players will discover obelisks throughout the dungeon, which will pull players through the veil into the shadowy world of Ny'alotha. There, players will confront a powerful servant of N'Zoth, which they must defeat, or the servant will join forces with the final boss in the instance. Once the lieutenant has been taken down, the party will be returned to their regular reality in the location they're currently standing in. This will enable some interesting skips that don't involve the use of rogues, shroud of concealment, or invisibility. But it also seems like some mess-ups could really hurt you at the end, especially since Mythic Pluses are timed. Hang on a second, my daughter. Evidently, 2 of the rascals went to the bathroom. Then there's going to be assaults. They have done this in 2 pre-patch things now, but evidently they're going to do this before the pre-patch because they're doing it in this patch. The Servants of N'Zoth. Level 120 players will witness the overwhelming might of the old gods firsthand in the new assaults on Titan facilities in Oldham and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Players must drive back N'Zoth's minions by completing objectives in the area, including defeating enemies and rare foes, looting treasures, and participating in events. After making some progress, you will face the lieutenant leading the enemy's forces, and once victorious, you will be rewarded with a powerful piece of equipment and a vessel of horrific visions, a key that gives you access to a new feature, Horrific Visions. Oh, you're at work with the Blarian clan. I like to listen to Carolyn when I'm at work and the court cases, so I completely understand and appreciate you listening. Assault locations will rotate within Uldum and Kalimdor and Vale of Eternal Blossoms in Pandaria. So be sure to check the bottom left of your map, default hotkey M for those who don't know that, for the Burning Eye of N'Zoth to see what foes you face today. Mantid Assault, Vale of Eternal Blossoms. The peaceful lands of Pandaria are under siege from the Mantid Swarm once again. Those are the bug people. Squash Sekzara's insectoid servants to foil the hive mind's plans. Mogu Assault, Vale of Eternal Blossoms. The warring clans of the Mogu over the Vale are surging to a breaking point, leaving devastation in their wake. Beat back their forces to put all sides this proud race on their knees. The Mogu are like the stone-looking guys. The Black Empire Assault, Vale of Eternal Blossoms. The restored Vale of Eternal Blossoms is once again threatened by the old gods. Drive back the madness of the Empire's fleet to restore harmony. Hang on, they're playing in there. Okay, maybe that'll help. Amethet Assault in Uldum, weaponizing their position as stewards of the Titans. The zealous Amethet have taken control of Uldum to keep secure their place as the sole controllers of the Titanic Forge. Sweep this arrogant tribe back into the sandy tombs they emerged from. That sounds interesting. Akir Assault in Uldum. The Akir plagues Uldum and threatens to obliterate the region's Titan facilities in the name of N'Zoth and the Black Empire. Crush their uprising to put an end to their mindless destruction. Now, the thing that's really cool about Uldum, and what I always liked about doing the quest line in that area, leveling, is that is where the quest line that is based on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is. And so it's always been a really fun area for me. So I'm glad we're getting to go back there. So you're saying we'll be fighting bugs for that mount. Awesome. At least it's not spiders. Yes, but I don't know that what we are going to be fighting in some of these things is going to be better than, are all going to be better than spiders, because I'm telling you, those bugs from MOP, whew, they were not nice at all. They had some really interesting abilities too when you were fighting them in the raid, so it could be interesting. The Black Empire Assault in Uldum. As the veil between worlds fades, N'Zoth's servants will infiltrate Uldum, purify the desert sands of his ancient corruption. I don't want you all to feel like either that I'm not looking at you because the camera is here, but my big screen is over here. And it's much easier for me to read that way. While taking part in assaults, you'll also be able to earn 2 new reputations. We all love doing the reputation grind. Uldum Accord and Rajani. Except the giant chicken, Mrs. Roger Rabbit. Yeah, spiders creep me out, so I'll take anything over giant spiders. Okay. Each faction will provide new rewards that can be purchased. Players will also be able to enter lesser visions of N'Zoth while assaults are active. These can be entered solo or with a group and provide a window into the future that will put your sanity and skills to the test as you progress through it. Make sure to watch your sanity bar and work with your team. New feature, Horrific Visions. This sounded interesting when I did glance and catch up. Horrific Visions are instanced challenges for 1 to 5 players that give you a glimpse at the twisted future N'Zoth has in store for Orgrimmar. So you can have a couple of people, 1 person, or a dungeon group. So this will be interesting. Because I have a feeling if YO ever gets some time off when I am available, that this would be very interesting for him and I to try to tackle alone and see how difficult we can make it, because you can increase your difficulty. Well, experiencing a horrific vision, your sanity will be under constant attack, increasing the instance's difficulty and forcing you to leave before you're consumed by insanity. So evidently they're going to take place in Orgrimmar and Stormwind, which are the major faction cities. Each time you're subjected to a horrific vision, you'll leave with more knowledge and fragments of N'Zoth's corruption. Take these to Rathian and Mother Silithus to strengthen your defenses and earn new tools, which will allow you to delve deeper into N'Zoth's horrific visions and earn greater rewards. Mrs. Roger Rabbit says, "Oh, dang, people are already insane in this game. We're going to see a lot trying to see how low they can get their insanity." Right. We all know that the Shadow Priests, last expansion, when they would fully engulf themselves in their insanity ability, like they would die. They couldn't stay alive. Like it would end up killing them. But man, they could do some heavy damage. To enter, bring a vessel of horrific visions to the Chamber of Heart and enter the horrific vision of Stormwind or Orgrimmar. That actually sounds kind of fun. Yeah, these sound like, this sounds to me like they are taking the idea of the tower from Legions, which was a one-person thing, and unfortunately, due to time constraints, I didn't end up doing any of my characters. I attempted it early on. I knew I needed to build up some more stuff. I knew the hunter. I got it down, but I never got back to doing it. People did suggest, though, why can't we, do this with a couple of our friends? It would be really cool. And so I think they took the Mage Tower idea and evolved it into this, which I like this idea. I like it being able to scale from 1 to 5 because you don't need a full dungeon group. Like maybe you only have 2 or 3 friends on that night, and if you want to go and do that, you can. So I really like this idea. Titanic Research Archive. Turning in fragments of N'Zoth's corruption will reward you with abilities that allow you to delve deeper into future horrific visions, overcome greater threats, and weather the effects of N'Zoth's sanity-draining attacks. You will be able to choose from a variety of passive abilities, ranging from revealing treasures to mitigating the amount of sanity drained while in the instance. Bring these fragments to Rathian and Mother in the Chamber of Heart located in Silithus. And I'm actually really happy to see Rathian again because we kind of were hinted. Well, actually, he was supposed to be involved in Legion, but they cut him out. So we knew he had something to do with the future. Faceless Masks. Players seeking the next echelon of rewards and challenges can adventure into bonus areas of horrific visions to discover faceless masks. Wearing these masks raises the difficulty level of horrific visions and unlocks improved rewards. This is the part I was talking about. I would really love to see how far Lyle and I could take that on ourselves because, we're kind of crazy that way. New legendary cloak. Ajra Kamas, Shroud of Resolve. Like I said, we're getting a new legendary cloak. To combat N'Zoth's corruption, Rathian will return and work with players to craft a legendary cloak again. Ashra Kamas, Shroud of Resolve. This upgradable legendary starts at rank 1 and at item level 470. So that should tell us the difficulty of the next raid. With subsequent ranks increasing in power and adding other unique effects. Wearing this cloak will help players venture deeper into N'Zoth's horrific visions, earn greater rewards, and unlock more of the mysteries behind the old god's power. This cloak may also come in handy when you face off against N'Zoth himself in the upcoming raid. When you equip the cloak, you'll immediately reduce sanity loss while in horrific visions. Pardon me. At rank 6, the cloak will gain an on-use spell effect that dispels any effects of N'Zoth's corruption and provides the wearer with an immunity to any further corruption effects for 6 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. At rank 12, the cloak will also gain a draconic empowerment passive because you're causing your spells and abilities to have a chance to massively increase your primary stat. Once your Ashra Kamas Shroud of Resolve reaches rank 15, you can begin to acquire Malefic Cores, which increase your corruption resistance by 3 to a maximum of 125. You can acquire 1 Malefic Core per week across all sources. Okay. So that looks like a weekly thing that has to be done, including defeating N'Zoth and Ny'alotha on normal, heroic, or mythic difficulty by completing all objectives within a horrific vision. Max level players who have unlocked the Heart Forge will be able to begin the quest to obtain this legendary cloak. Well, okay. New corrupted items and rewards. In Visions of N'Zoth, you'll find gear tainted with corruption. Of course we will. Cursed by N'Zoth, corrupted items offer truly exceptional power for a price. As you don more corrupted gear, you'll find your spells will do more damage, or your heals will be more potent, but the corruption will begin to affect you in increasingly perilous ways. At low corruption levels, you may be slowed periodically when taking damage, while at higher corruption levels, evil forces from the void may come for you at any moment. Deciding how much corruption to take on is a delicate balancing act, but corruption can be mitigated with your new legendary cloak and all new essences. By equipping these powerful boons, you can negate some of the corruption and reap the benefits of N'Zoth's might with fewer downsides. Okay, so I really got to get my hunter pumped up so I can do this raid. You can choose to cleanse your items of corruption through Titanic Purification, which will cost you some corrupted mementos. However, doing so will cause your item to lose the positive equip effect as well. Here are a few corrupted effects that can appear on player equipment. Ineffable Truth. Your spells and abilities have a chance to show the ineffable truth, increasing the rate your cooldowns recover by 50% for 10 seconds. Twilight Devastation. Your attacks have a chance to trigger a beam of Twilight Devastation, dealing damage equal to 5% of your health to all enemies in front of you. They're doing a Deep Wind Gorge redesign. Visions of N'Zoth also brings a visual update and redesign for Deep Wind Gorge. Inspired by Arathi Basin, the new Deep Wind Gorge has 5 capture points for teams to battle over. Maintaining control over the market, farm, ruins, shrine, and quarry will be key to securing victory, as the first faction to reach 1,500 points wins. Players will find and be able to queue for the new Deep Wind Gorge in the Battleground section of the Group Finder. Default hotkey I. Of course, hardly any of mine are on default because I rearrange all mine. Pet battles. Along with 7 new pet battles and 8 new battle pet world quests, a fiery new challenge awaits your army of fierce little companions in Visions of N'Zoth. There's a new pet battle dungeon, Black Rock Depths, and I have yet to do any of these, and I really need to do them. It's time to marshal your menagerie and put your best battle pets forward in the volcanic labyrinth of Black Rock Depths. A new pet battle dungeon with normal and challenge difficulties. You'll earn an ultimate paddle training stone after defeating the dungeon on normal difficulty. Completing it on challenge difficulty will grant the achievement Pet Battle Challenge, Black Rock Depths, along with Shadowy Disguise, a toy that turns you into a shadowy figure for 15 seconds. So I guess that means you look like a Shadow Priest. Completing challenge difficulty will count toward a weekly quest that rewards shadowy gems and account-bound currency that you can redeem for an unopened Blackrock supply crate filled with pet supplies or for 3 new pets, Wailing Lasher, Experiment 13, and Tiny Claw. Speak with Bert Macklin at the entrance of the dungeon to add one of these powerful fiends or friends to your ranks. To get started on your journey, you'll need to have completed the 4 previous Pet Battle Dungeon quests, Wailing Critters, The Dead Mind Strikes Back, Nomarin New Guardians, and Tiny Terrors of Strathholm. Okay, so those are all the other 4 Pet Battle Dungeons. Once all 4 quests have been completed at normal or challenge difficulty, you'll be able to accept new quests from Tizzy Gear Jolt in Borealis or Radic Fuselock in Dazara Lore and begin your Blackrock Depths pet battle journey. New allied races, Volpera and Mechagnomes. Visions of N'Zoth brings the resourceful Volpera to the Horde and industrious Mechagnomes to the Alliance. And I'm going to say, for anybody who doesn't play the Alliance, that Mechagnome would would certainly be a reason to create an Alliance character. As with other allied races, unlocking each race will reward you with a unique mount, and leveling a new Volpera or Mechagnome from 20 to 110 will earn you their special Heritage Armor Transmogrification set. Horde players can unlock the Volpera by completing the Vol'dun level up storyline and reaching Exalted with the Voldani. Alliance players who are Exalted with the Rustbolt Resistance and have completed the Mechagon story can embark on a questline to create a Mechagnome of their own. Death Knights for all, which means I have to delete the Death Knight I created on the Horde side and now choose a really cool race to be. With the launch of Visions of N'Zoth, players who pre-purchase World of Warcraft Shadowlands will be able to create Death Knights as Pandaren and all allied races, including the newly available Volpera and Mechagnomes once they're unlocked. Which is completely awesome because you've been so limited on Death Knights. Auction House Overhaul. The auction house has been rebuilt to make it smoother, faster, and easier to use, and also to break Trade Skill Master, I'm sure, with updated functionality built around the way players use the auction house most frequently. Commodities, stackable items are no longer sold in stacks. Now you'll simply enter how many you want to buy, and the auction house will automatically select the cheapest available auctions. Since the cheapest auctions are always sorted to the top, you'll never have to dig for the best deal again. You'll also curate a favorites list so you can quickly search for and buy items you're often hunting for. Now, I think this is probably going to be really good for buying. I'm just concerned how it's going to be for selling. Oh, I hope Experiment 13 looks like Experiment 626. A little Stitch creature would be adorable. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll look it up. Experiment 13. Oop. I am sure their website's running very slow right now. So Experiment 13. Where is Experiment 13? Why is it not showing it? Battle Pets, Experiment 13. They don't have a picture up yet? Are you kidding me? We'll find it. Okay. That's what it looks like. It looks like something that the Mechanome would have. It's not cageable, so it only does you good to have. Well, if you get more than one, you can't do anything with it, it looks like. That's probably not good because it's a random drop in the box. So they might end up changing that because I'm quite sure somebody's going to complain about that. Yeah, not really a Stitch. Sorry. Okay. New quests. Many stories and adventures are now available across Azeroth. The Dark Prince returns. That is, of course, Rathian. Azeroth cries out and needs your aid to defend her against the Black Empire's relentless invasion. Max level players should seek out Rathian to begin cleansing the world of N'Zoth's forces. Servant of N'Zoth. The whispers of N'Zoth corrupt the minds of fierce warriors across the world, filling them with bloodlust against their own brothers and sisters. If a player succumbs and accepts this quest, they will join forces with N'Zoth and do his bidding by slaying their own faction members. If they can defeat 10 players without dying, they will be rewarded with a new title. So, of course, they want to force us into doing this because all of us that like to, earn everything, we're going to feel like we have to do this. Servant of N'Zoth, an item that allows them to defect to N'Zoth on command and earn the achievement Servant of N'Zoth. Now, I'm going to throw this out there because there's been other times where we've had to, do things to the opposite faction, kill, and we just did it to our friends purposefully, and they just stood there and let us kill them. And this might be one of those things we can do again. I don't know. New Heritage Armor, Goblins and Worgen. Celebrate your legacy with Heritage Armor sets for Goblins and Worgen. Players with a max level 120 Goblin or Worgen who are exalted with their faction, the Bilgewater Quartel or Gilneas retrospectively, will be able to embark on a new quest line for each race to learn more about their history. Once you complete your quest, you'll gain a new Heritage Armor transmogrification set unique to your race. Well, it is about time that the Goblins and the Worgen get a little bit of love because they had to wait so long for their new look. New Warfront, Heroic Dark Shore. Nice. As with Heroic Stormguard, you'll need to coordinate with a pre-made group of 10 to 20 players to win against the relentless forces of the enemy and interact with the War Table in Borealis or the Port of Zuldazar with your raid group to join the fight. So I have not done the Heroic Stormguard either yet, but those are all things I'll need to do for gear. New Brawl, Teeming Islands. This large-scale battle brings together 2 teams of 10 on an island overflowing with powerful creatures. The Brawl brings in additional challenge to the shores of PvP island expeditions by increasing the total amount of players from 6 to 20 on the biggest islands, Havenswood and Jordanal. When the Brawl is active, players can join the fight by opening up the group finder, default hotkey I, selecting from the player versus player tab, and queuing up. This is another fun one going to be. Probably everybody will waste the whole week doing this. Darkmoon Faire Arcade. Get your tokens ready. A new attraction built by the finest Nomus engineers is now ready for you to test your mettle, the Darkmoon Faire. Now, unfortunately, we won't be able to do this until February. But the Darkmoon Faire Arcade play games inspired by world quests, including Hex Sweeper, Barrels of Fun, which we all loved, Totemic Matrix, Bully, Remenberry, and Rune Matching. Be sure to look for this mechanic marvel run by Lineage Hard Mode. What kind of last name is that, Hard Mode? Really? When the Darkmoon Faire is in town, just behind the Darkmoon Faire roller coaster. I knew something was going in there. Mounts. We all love this, right, Mrs. Roger Rabbit? Traverse the corrupted lands of Uldum and Vale of Eternal Blossoms astride several new Shadow and Void-inspired mounts. 6 of them are listed below, but there are even more waiting to be discovered. That means the secret clan is going to, I'm sure, be finding something. Nyalotha Allseeker. This tentacled nightmare's ghoulish looks are akin to the many-eyed old god himself. Drops from N'Zoth, the Corruptor, on Mythic difficulty. I will not be getting that until it is farmable in the next expansion. Ivory Cloud Serpent. Ivory Cloud Serpents are often mistaken for roaring thunder as they tear through the skies with blistering speed. Lucky players can claim their own by vanquishing the Ivory Cloud Serpent in Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Ooh, interesting. Black Serpent of N'Zoth. The Black Serpents of N'Zoth are the harbingers of his ultimate vision becoming reality. Only those servants or enemies who can tread this space have any chance of wrangling them, obtained by earning the achievement through the depths of visions. Clutch of Hali. The brood of Hali are comfortable in the blue skies of Pandaria, hunting unsuspecting prey. Cut down Hali and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms for a chance to bring this mount to your stable. I'm guessing these are coming from the, what are they calling them here, the attack zones? Shadow Barb Drone. Players can raise their own Shadow Barb Drone mount. Be on the lookout for void-touched eggs in Uldum and begin your journey. Oh, so we'll find an egg and have to wait for it to hatch, probably. Spring Fur Alpaca. Oh, we got little Dottie, and now we have an alpaca mount. The kind nature of alpacas makes them perfect companions for intrepid adventurers. Earn your own by completing the Alpaca Init quest in Uldum. Oh, well, that's just a quest. Holiday updates. Lunar Festival, which is coming up. Embark on an adventure around Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms to complete the Rite of the Moon and help an old druid bless her staff of moonflowers. In return, she will enchant your flower crown so they never die, which is really awesome. And you can transmogrify them year-round. They're pretty ugly, but for collectors, that will be awesome to have. Achievements. Players who own the Mighty Caravan Brutosaur mount now earn the Conspicuous Consumption Feat of Strength. Oh, I guess you can't get it now. Huh. Character appearances. Although I'm still waiting for the spider vendor to pop up when I'm around. Character appearances. The eyes of blood elves, night elves, and death knights of all races now have an updated glowing effect. Well, I wonder if that means you can change it. Guardian druids. With the Mage Tower Legion artifact appearance, Might of the Grizzlemaw now have a unique dance animation. Oh, that's interesting. Classes. I wish they would come up with some more ways for us to earn more appearances for those artifact appearances, because, I mean, you know, they're still letting you earn the artifacts while you level up, but you can't even do anything with them. Classes Death Knight, Blood. Mark of Blood talent can no longer heal a target with a very large health pool for more than 5% of the casting Death Knight's maximum health. Unholy. Bursting Swords talent now increases the healing absorption provided by Necrotic Strike. Risen Sulker, summoned from All Will Serve talent, can now benefit from Path of Frost. Well, that's probably good. The Risen Sulker shot cast time and damage increased by 25%. Developers note, by increasing the cast time and damage, this ability should no longer collide with the global cooldown at higher haste levels. Yeah, that's definitely something they probably should have thought about. Druid, balance, Sunfire and Moonfire damage and periodic damage reduced by 10%. Well, that really sucks. But they are putting out a lot of DPS right now. High Noon Azurite trait damage increased by 11%. Power of the Moon Azurite trait damage increased by 11%. I guess they're making up with it for it by that. Because they really shouldn't be taking any power away from any of the characters right now with this new raid coming out. They should rebalance everything for the next expansion. Feral Druid's abilities now have improved sound effects, because I'm sure that's what they think they need. Finishing abilities should now audibly stand compared to their abilities. I'm sure that everybody's excited about that. Dealing bonus damage against bleeding targets can now be heard. That's probably a good idea. Especially in PvP. Restoration, Mastery, Harmony, Healing bonus reduced by 9%. High Noon Azurite trait damage reduced by 34%. Holy moly. Developer's note, Restoration Druid has an overall package of healing. That's true. Damage and utility that is very hard to compete with in solo healed content. That is true. They've always been that way. Two things that stand out in particular are the efficiency of focused healing on a single target with high mastery and the ease of contributing DPS with very little GCD usage on Sunfire. That's very true. So I guess I could see why they did that, but I have a feeling they might have to tone that back a bit. Mage Frost. Ice Lance damage increased by 20%. Developers note, Ice Lance damage hasn't kept up with Icicle scaling, making builds that ignore Ice Lance possible. That's also true. The intent of this change is to give Frost Mages a better incentive to use Ice Lance in their rotation. Yes, they should be using it, because it's kind of character to them. Monk Brewmaster. Okay, this is something I'm interested in. Stamina bonus reduced to 30% was 35%. That's okay. Stagger percentage reduced to 90% of agility was 105% agility. That's okay too. High tolerance now increases effectiveness of stagger by 5% was 8%. See, I am afraid every time they mess with stagger, they screw it up. And it takes them half the patch to fix it. Developers note Brewmaster's extremely high effective health against physical damage meant they are rarely in danger against spike damage that threatens other tanks. That is mildly true, I will say. This should be a strength of Brewmaster, but not such a wide margin. See, I disagree with that, but that's okay. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see if people are still using them for Mythic Plus dungeons. Mistweaver. Revival healing increased by 12%. Renewing Mist healing increased by 15%. And cost 2.5% mana was 2.8% mana. Yeah, that's good. Because I didn't find that Renewing Mist was, yeah. Vivify healing increased by 6%. That's probably good because it costs a lot. Enveloping Mist healing increased by 10%. That I agree with that because I didn't feel like that healed very much. The last time I used it anyway in this expansion. Rising Mist healing increased by 33% and now extends heal over time effects by 4 seconds. Was 2 seconds. Developers note this talent is currently overshadowed on its row. We want to make sure it's competitive enough to make it unique playstyle a viable option. I think that's a good idea. Life Cocoon now absorbs for 60% of the caster's maximum health was 1100% of the caster's spell power. Developers note this ability had gotten weaker compared to player health pools since the start of the expansion. This will help it better maintain its value. Okay. Because Mistweavers are very, very good tank healers. But one of their weaknesses is their ability to, over a long period of time, heal a group of people. Windwalker. Rising Sun Kick damage increased by 25%. That's probably good because I can't use it as often. Blackout Kick damage increased by 10%. Developers know these changes are intended to help Windwalkers perform better in single target fights. Yes, they need that because they've been having much better AoE. Paladin. Holy Glimmer of Light, which is an Azurite trait. Healing reduced 12% and may now be applied to a maximum of 8 targets. Did they not have a maximum before? Because I could see where that would cause problems. Developers notes over the past year, builds centered around this trait have steadily pulled ahead of all other Holy Paladin playstyles, and to some extent with all other healers and high-end content. That's true because they have been knocking it out in the raids. This change is meant to preserve the gameplay of the trait, but limit the ability to increase its value drastically by stacking every possible bonus that reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock. Okay, I could agree with that. Priest discipline. Well, I hope they help them out a little bit, because they're having some hard times sometimes in the dungeons from what I've been able to see. Contrition's talent based healing reduced by 25%. Contrition's healing is now correctly affected by mastery. Okay. Developers note, in the aggregate, this talent gains value due to the increase in penance healing, reduction to atonement healing, and mastery bug fix. Okay. Penance healing increased by 15%. That's good. Schism now increases damage done from priest spells and abilities only. Developers note, this change is intended to make Schism consistent with other similar class cooldowns. Okay. Shadow Word pain damage reduced by 9%. Really, were they really doing that much damage with it? Purge the Wicked damage reduced by 10%, I guess. Power Word Solace talent damage reduced by 10%. Atonement healing reduced to 50% from 55%. Okay, 5% is probably not going to kill anything. Mastery Grace effectiveness increased by 12%. Developers notes, Discipline's ability to contribute both damage and healing is slightly too high for what one character can bring to a group composition. At the same time, we're making their mastery stat slightly more attractive. Yeah, they should have to stack mastery. Shadow. Chorus of Insanity critical strike bonus reduced by 25%. Auspicious Spirits damage bonus reduced to 25% was 50%. Wow. Spiteful Apparitions Azurite trait now deals the correct amount of damage if the Shadow Priest has Auspicious Spirits talented. Developers note the multiplicative interaction between Auspicious Spirits, Spiteful Apparitions, and Chorus of Insanity has specifically been a big part of Shadow's damage scaling to get out of control at high target counts. Okay, now say that sentence 10 times really fast. My lord. This change will keep their damage output in line with its original intention. Okay. Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word pain damage reduced by 8%. I kind of don't like that. Vampiric Touch. I don't like that. Warlock Affliction. I've never played Affliction. The following pets now show up under players' unit frames. Oh, yeah. Okay, Dreadstalkers, Vile Fiend, and Grimoire Felguard. Deathbolt now deals 20% of the total damage of the Warlock's damage over time effects on the target was 30%. Nightfall's chance to trigger increased by 33%. Nightfall now increases the damage of Shadow Bolt by 50%, was 25%. Drain Soul damage increased by 50%. I don't know what Nightfall is because I don't really know all the spells of the Affliction Warlock because that is a daughter, and I'm not big on daughters. Developers note, one of the key concepts for Affliction Warlock is spreading damage over time spells on a number of different targets, right? Daughters. While Deathbolt keys off these types of spells, it provides more than expected burst damage and outperforms other two talents in every situation. In addition to reducing Deathbolt's effectiveness, we're improving the other two talents on the tier to give more option to Affliction Warlocks. I'm sure they're loving to hear that because, you know, they already had everything set up for raids. Dungeons and raids. Operation Mechagon. Operation Mechagon has now been split into 2 instances. That's probably a very good idea. Mechagon Junkyard and Mechagon Workshop. Developers note, during the Rise of Ashara content update, Operation Mechagon made its debut as an epic and challenging mega dungeon. Now that it's heading into the Mythic Keystone system, we're making some adjustments to bring its difficulty in line with that of other Mythic Keystone dungeons. That's probably smart. Operation Mechagon is now available on heroic difficulty. Players can queue for either Mechagon Junkyard or Mechagon Workshop through the Dungeons and Raids section of the Group Finder default hotkey I, or zone into the instance on heroic and complete it in its entirety. Okay. It's kind of like what they did with, oh my goodness gracious. I can't even think of it now, the raid that they turned into Dungeon last expansion. And then they split it up for the Mythic Keys. Platinum Pummeler. Now cast B4TTL3 mine more frequently on all difficulties. The missile destruction visual should now always display and warn the player before impact on all difficulties. Well, that's probably good. Because if you can't see it, how in the world can you avoid it? No Mercy for you. Vent Jets. No Mercy now turns toward the target of Fixate before it's cast. Okay. Tussle Tonks. Buzzsaw damage dealt reduced by 80%. Developers note, left untouched, this fight would be lethal at higher Mythic Keystone levels with Tyrannical active. To keep the chaos of the fight intact, we reduce the damage of the buzzsaws while retaining their knockback effect. Waste Processing Unit. Mega Drill precast increased to 3.5 seconds was 2. Developers note Mega Drill is dangerous ability, and by slowing down its cast, players will have a little more time to react. Cujo, Venting Flames. Increase the distance at which players are safe from venting flames when standing behind a junk cube. Defense Bot MK3. Arcing Zap damage reduced by 12%. Short Outs damage reduced by 20%. Blastatron X80. Capacitor discharges damage increased by 40%. King Mechagon. Pulse Blast damage has been reduced by 37%. Giga Zap Phase 1 initial damage reduced by 44%. Giga Zap Phase 2 initial damage reduced by 50%. Recalibrates damage reduced by 15%. Mechagon Junkyard, Scrapbone Bully. Headbutt damage increased by 25%. Shockwave damage reduced by 9%. Scrapbone Trash Tosser. They got some great names in that. Throw Trash's projectile now moves slightly slower. Scrapbone Grinder. Skullcracker's damage dealt reduced by 11%. Enrage. Increased cast time to 2 seconds was 1.5 seconds. Reduced duration to 10 seconds was 12 seconds. King Gabamac. Cave-in damage dealt reduced by 37%. Piston Head Mechanic Junkyard and Mechagon Mechanic in the Workshop. Overclock is now a magic dispel for both enemies. Previously was one magic and one was Enrage. Okay, that's good. Piston Head Blaster. Ground visual of Scrap Grenade slightly reduced. Bolt Buster damage dealt reduced by 25%. Tase damage dealt reduced by 20%. Slime Elemental. Slime Wave damage reduced by 28%. Gunker. Toxic Fumes damage dealt reduced by 25%. I'm sure these are all to bring in the Mythic Plus Keystones in line so that they scale properly. Wreck. Reduced to 100% damage. Weapon damage per hit was 150%. Increased stacking vulnerability to 100% was 75%. Developers note the net result of these changes roughly reduce Wreck's damage output by 25% and puts a greater emphasis on tanks recognizing that this ability is happening so they can try to mitigate it before the really big hit at the end. Gosh, you can't even get some tanks to figure out they need to mitigate anything. Fulminating Zap's periodic damage reduced by 20%. Weaponized crawler. Scrap cannon no longer cast while shock coil is active. Scrap bone bully. Enrage. Increased cast time to 2 seconds was 1.5 seconds. Reduced duration to 10 seconds was 12 seconds. King's Rest. I haven't even gone into that dungeon. Okay, King's Rest General. Reduced variability and damage output for a number of creatures throughout the dungeon. Shadowborn Warrior. Gust / damage over time. Duration reduced to 8 seconds was 10 seconds. Shadowborn Witch Doctor. Icy chill damage reduced by 15%. King Rahui. That's an interesting place to put a comma. Channel Lightning's damage reduced by 12.5%. Queen Putla shoots damage reduced by 11%. King Timalji Bladestorm damage reduced by 15%. Well, we all know what Bladestorm probably does. Blood's Worn Agent Shadow Whirl damage reduced by 7.5%. Spectral Witch Doctor Frost Shock damage reduced by 21%. Spectral Berserker Severing Blade damage reduced by 13%. Spectral Brute Ground Crush damage reduced by 25%. Spectral Beastmaster Poison Barrage damage reduced by 11%. Duration reduced to 10 seconds was 20 seconds. That's a long poison. Developers note previously the long duration of this effect can make it very difficult to heal through for parties who lacked the ability to cleanse poison effects. This change should make the ability more manageable to counter. Kula the Butcher, Severing Axe damage reduced by 9%, and Shadow of Zol health reduced by 6%. That's always helpful. Players can no longer enter King Dazar's room before the Shadow of Zol is defeated. So no sidestepping him. I guess somebody was doing that. Items and rewards, because of course these are our favorite things. Corrupted Mementos. Defeating powerful enemies and horrific visions will grant you with Corrupted Mementos, which can be used to purchase several new items, including the Gouged Eye of N'Zoth, which allows you to add a prismatic socket to one piece of eligible gear. That is flippin' awesome. Coalescing Visions. Use Coalescing Visions to purchase a variety of different items from Rathian inside the Chamber of the Heart, including new equipment, Vessels of Horrific Visions, and a mount. You'll be able to loot these from defeating powerful enemies, completing quests, and more. Black Empire Gear. Worn by N'Zoth's infantry, these pieces of Azurite armor and other equipment will get heroes ready to face the horrors ahead. As you face N'Zoth's troops in assaults on Uldum and the Vale of Eternal Blossoms, or conquer horrific visions, you'll collect Bind to Account tokens. Oh, they're Bind to Account. That's even better. You can use these tokens to create a piece of gear to boost your own power. You can mail tokens to your other characters. Awesome sauce. First time they're doing it from the get-go. Many legendary weapons are now transmogrifiable. Developers note the Warglaives of Azzinoth dropped from Illidan and Black Temple are the one exception. As a custom method for demon hunters in particular to obtain this transmog appearance already exists through the Black Temple time walking. And we do not want to diminish the value of that unique reward, which is good because I don't have it yet. I don't even think I've earned one of those on my Demon Hunter yet. I've had one drop on my Monk. New illusion enchantments are now available to collect. The Rust Bolt Resistance insignia now only provides reputation up to Exalted. Reputation requirements for Nazjatar, gosh, why was my tongue tying up? And Mechagon vendor sold essences have been reduced from honored, revered, and exalted for ranks 1, 2, and 3 to friendly, honored, and revered. Rank 1 now costs 2 spare crates. Well, yeah, that's okay. Rank 2 now costs 8 spare crates. Rank 3 now costs 20 spare crates. Acquisition of rank 4 of these essences is unchanged. The follower experience requirements for ranks 2 and 3 of Memory of Lucid Dreams has been reduced from 3,000 and 6,000 to 2,400 and 4,800. Players who are revered with their respective Nazjatar reputation may now exchange prismatic mana pearls for bind to account reputation tokens. Oh, that's good. Developers note, we expect the addition of account-bound reputation tokens for Nazjatar to complement the existing account-bound reputation tokens that are craftable in Mechagon, providing an option for players who have already unlocked rank 3 Essence on their main to speed up their progression towards it on their alts. Finally, they're thinking about alts. Assassin bounty bags now contain the same loot regardless of which zone it was rewarded in. Lightning Forged Augment Rune can be used indefinitely to increase agility, intellect, and strength by 60 for 1 hour. This reusable rune can be purchased for 50,000 gold. Yeehaw! Another auto reusable potion type of thing. Character must be exalted with the Rajani faction. Okay. Players can now purchase uncommon, rare, and epic rarity salvage crates in exchange for Seafarer's doubloons. These crates contain at least 3 pieces of loot rewarded from completing island expeditions and contain transmogrification appearances, pets, and mounts. Nice. All Titan residuum will be converted to silver. Oh, man. Oh, I always hate when they do that. Oh, you've been collecting this the whole time? Okay, here, we're going to give you a little bit of money. Nazjatar World Quests, Nazjatar World Bosses, and other Nazjatar Zone events now reward more prismatic mana pearls. Good, because then you can go buy things with them. Island doubloons, reputation, and where was I at? Island doubloons, reputation items, and quest turn-ins is no longer giant reputation beyond. Will no longer grant reputation beyond exalted. Instead, players who are exalted with the associated faction will instead gain bind on account reputation tokens, consumable up to exalted reputation. Well, I would hope it wouldn't keep using it when you're already exalted and you can't get it anymore. Azerite gear, overwhelming power, Azerite trait, fixed an issue that caused overwhelming power rank 2 to trigger more often based on your haste rating, which caused this trait to benefit more from haste than intended. Developers note, we discovered a bug with overwhelming power, which caused it to trigger more often as a player's haste increased, meaning it scaled doubly with haste. We know overwhelming power is a player favorite Azerite trait in part because of this bug, and it is not our intent to make the trait not worth taking. However, the rate at which it was growing was causing any gear without overwhelming power to be seen as suboptimal. So we needed to fix this issue. We'll be keeping an eye on this trait in the future to make sure it's still performing satisfactorily after this change. Please wait till the ride comes to a complete stop before exiting the vehicle, is basically what they're saying. Heart of Azeroth. Players can now unlock a new minor slot in their Heart of Azeroth at level 75. Periodic increases to stamina up to level 80. Oh, that's good. Heart of Azeroth no longer has a maximum level. Levels beyond 80 will grant the Heart of Azeroth increased item level and slight stat increases. Completing Magni's quest chain to unlock the Heartforged now starts your Heart of Azeroth at level 50. Oh, up from 35. That's lovely. Bonus threat from unlocking major and minor slots has been removed. When the Heart of Azeroth is equipped in tank specialization or a druid wearer shifts into bear form, threat generated is now increased by 50%. Changing specializations, shifting forms, or removing the Heart of Azeroth cancels this effect. That's good. Loyal to the end, Azerite trait. Loyal to the end's on death effect can no longer stack. Dying while under the effect of shaman's ancestral protection totem no longer triggers loyal to the end on death effect. Okay. Essences. New essences can be found in Assaults on Uldum and Vale of Eternal Blossoms by delving into horrific visions and in the Nyalotha raid. Listed below are 3 of the new rank 1 essences for healing, damage dealing, and tank specialization. In addition to their active and passive abilities, these new essences also provide 10 corruption resistance. Spirit of Preservation, rank 1. Major, channel a beam of energy onto an ally, healing them for a significant amount over 3 seconds. Minor, every 5 seconds, gain Devout Spirit, causing your next flash heal, Flash of Light, Regrowth, Vivify, Shadow Mend, or Healing Surge to heal for an additional small amount, stacking up to 3 times. Breath of the Dying, rank 1. Major, burn your target with a bolt of azurite, dealing a high amount of fire damage instantly. If the target has less than 20% health, the 45-second cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds. Ooh, that's pretty good. Minor, your spells and abilities have a chance to strike your target for a moderate amount of fire damage. Touch of the Everlasting, rank 1. Major, your next death is prevented, and instead you regenerate up to 20% of your maximum health and take 85% reduced damage for 3 seconds. This effect cannot occur more often than once per 10 minutes. Minor, when you fall below 35% health and Gizmo, what's the matter? Now you want out? Regenerate up to 25% of your maximum health and take 85% reduced damage for 3 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once per 10 minutes. Minor, when you fall below 35% health, gain a moderate amount of avoidance for 15 seconds, and your next active mitigation will last 30% longer. That could be really good. Condensed Life Force. Damage debuff applied by your Guardian's Azurite Spikes has been reduced to 3%. Increased damage was 5%. The Guardian's Azurite Spike cast time increased to 2.5 seconds, was 2 seconds. Developers note, with respect to Condensed Life Force, the cast time increase was primarily intended to resolve a bug where the Guardian would clip his own casts when a character gained enough haste to bring the cast below a global cooldown. However, this particular essence, which is largely passive, was the premier choice for most specializations on both single and multi-target situations. So in addition to the cast time increase, we felt it necessary to reduce the damage increase the player receives from the essence. Of course, they always cheat. People always are going to cheat and try to do as much as they can. Purification Protocol. Major rank 1 damage increased by 15%. Major rank 2 now has the potential to work on targets that are part of raid and dungeon encounters. Unbound Force. Major rank 1 damage increased by 40%. Minor rank 1 duration changed to 4 seconds was 3 seconds. Minor rank 3 increase of duration increased to 2 seconds was 1 second. When Reckless Force buff is applied, the Unbound Force spell icon becomes highlighted. Vision of Perfection. Proc rate increased by 12%. Vitality Conduit. The effects of Vitality Conduit are now accurately displayed in the combat log and scrolling combat text. Evidently, it was not before. World Vein Resonance. Using rank 1 now additionally causes you to gain 300% bonus to primary stats gained from Lifeblood Shards. Major slot for 18 seconds was 50% for 10 seconds. Hang on a second. Pet battles. Elite Pet Battle World Quests in Nazjatar and Mechagon have been reduced in difficulty and now scale to match your highest slotted Battle Pets level. Oh, that should help. Weather abilities. Blizzard now increases all elemental ability damage by 25%. Mudslide now increases all critical damage dealt by 25%. There's a new weather type. Toxic Fumes. Deals Dragonkin damage to the current enemy pet and applies the Toxic Fumes weather effect. Toxic Fumes increases the duration of all hostile damage over time effects by 1 round. All pets are considered poison while toxic fumes is active, including your own pets. Looks like. Damage reduction is now capped at negative 75%. Developers note, this change will smooth out the challenge with some enemy bosses. Previously, if you were fighting a pet like Unit 17 in Mechagon, a boss pet that passively takes 50% less damage, and Unit 17 used Crouch, Unit 17 became immune to damage because the two 50% damage reduction effects are added to each other. Now, in the above example, while Crouch is active, Unit 17 will take 75% reduced damage instead of 100% reduced damage. Please note that abilities like dodge or deflection will continue to avoid all damage and will not be impacted by this change. Okay, that's good. Player versus player. Battleground. Seething Shore now has a 20-minute time limit. Developers note, this change is intended to address egregiously long games that can sometimes occur from stalemates. Classes Death Knight, Unholy, Bursting Sores talent now also increases the healing absorption provided by Necrotic Strike. Necrotic Strike PvP talent now applies a 4% max health healing absorb was 5%. Shaman Lightning Lasso PvP talent. That sounds like a really cool talent. Is now affected by Master of the Elements. Lightning Lasso's damage has been reduced by 10%. Everybody's favorite thing, professions. Many new items can be crafted by harvesting the corpses of those loyal to N'Zoth. General, turn N'Zoth's power against him by creating a Void Focus, an item that will help you elevate your crafting professions. N'Zoth's followers will drop the recipe for alchemists, blacksmiths, engineers, jewel crafters, leatherworkers, and tailors. Alchemy. An upgraded alchemy stone can now be crafted. Oh, that's awesome. Potion of Focused Resolve now benefits pets. Interesting. Archaeology. The assault of N'Zoth's forces will prevent players from surveying dig sites in Uldum. Players looking to acquire Tol'vir artifacts are should speak with Sidormi and Rumkahan. Yes, but you should still be able to turn in your pieces that you get from other places for Tol'vir artifacts. That really sucks because that is what you need to get the recipe to make the Sands of Time? The Sandrake mount. Oh my gosh. If they couldn't make that any harder, really? Blacksmithing. Forge new armor to protect yourself from the wrath of N'Zoth and the enemy faction. Cooking. N'Zoth's followers will drop a recipe book allowing players to craft new foods that have special bonuses within N'Zoth's visions. Engineering. Protect your eyes with the best engineering goggles available to craft and construct gear to prepare for Season 4's PvP combat and Mythic Keystone dungeons. Engineering. Protect your eyes with the best engineering goggles available to craft and construct gear to prepare. Oh, I already said that, didn't I? Inscription. Somehow I missed that they were talking about goggles. Inscription. Craft new Vantis runes. Ooh, for Nyalotha raid bosses. Create contracts for the new Rajani and Uldum Accord factions. Well, that will be good because that'll can speed up your reputation gain. Jewel crafting. Higher rings can now be crafted. Leatherworking. Turn hides into new pants, boots, and PvP gear. Skinning. Eligible players can now skin a corpse without waiting for all other eligible players to collect their loot. Oh my goodness, that is the most awesome thing they could have done. Tailoring. Stitch together new garments using cloth looted from troops of N'Zoth. Wonder how many bug fixes. Oh, not too many bug fixes. Okay. Classes. Death Knight. Blood Death Knights can no longer sometimes cast Death and Decay or Blood Drinker while they are pacified. That was an interesting bug. Demon Hunter. Demon Hunters can no longer use Glide while affected by Shaman's Hex spell. I wish I would have seen that because that would have been interesting to see a frog gliding with wings. Druid, the base of the claw's Ursoc transmogrification appearance is no longer missing on Zandalari and Kulturans. That's good. Mage Frost, Glacial Spike talent is no longer enabled without the required number of icicles after using an instant cast flurry. Frost Nova once again overrides their water elemental's freeze route, even if the Frost Nova route would last longer. Mages can again stay invisible if they are under the effect of a channeled ability when they cast Mass Invisibility. Monk, Brewmaster's Gift of the Ox now spawns the correct amount of orbs for players with high amounts of stamina. That's always good. Priest, Holy Mastery, Echo of Light no longer duplicates negative healing effects. An example, dampening. Well, that's really good. Discipline, Power, Word, Radiance now correctly applies atonement to targets on the opposite side of a smoke bomb effect. Warlock corrected a typo that said Grimoire Felguard would be summoned for 15 seconds when the ability summoned it for 17 seconds. Felguards no longer cast Pursuit on the Warlock's non-primary target when set to autocast. Demonic Tyrant now attempts pathing to targets that are out of line of sight if it is summoned while not in line of sight of target. Warrior Protection, Thunderclap can no longer be cast while the caster is pacified. Well, I will say that kind of sucks a little bit, especially when it's in a dungeon and the tank wants to continue to hold aggro. But that is all of the patch notes for the patch that dropped today. So what do you think, Mrs. Roger Rabbit? That was kind of a lot. But I think I'm a little bummed I won't be able to get the brew store until I can hopefully someday, maybe ever get it off the black auction house. Yeah, some good, some ugh. Usual patch. I agree. And unfortunately, time is up now, and I'm going to have to go. So, if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the thumbs up if you liked it. Share it out, please, so we can get some more people in here to interact with us. And I'm going to try to do another live tomorrow. I had intended on speaking about a different topic tonight, but I was afraid my voice might get worse and worse as the week goes on, so having to do all this reading for the patch notes, I just figured I'd do it tonight. Friday night will be game night, and Saturday night, not Saturday night, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Central, Maria and I will start talking true crime again. So we have one we're going to dig into pretty good, and a couple of other ones we're going to mention and have a minor discussion about for right now. Yes, Eminem Mama, I see you. I knew you were here. I had no doubt you would be here. All right, everybody, have a good night. Eminem Mama, I will see you in the morning. Peace out.